All right, I'm going to walk you through how to do the probably the 8 most popular constructions. So I'll do 4 with kind of line segments and perpendiculars, and then 4 with angles. So the first one is we just want to copy a line segment, and so we just want to copy line segment AB. So we do just have to come up with some random point down here. We'll call line C. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our compass, and we're going to figure out the distance between A and B. Okay, and as long as I don't move my compass, then the distance between A and B is this exact length. Okay, so now I'm going to come over here on C, put the pointy end on C, and draw an arc. I can put any point I want on that arc, and then I know that that distance is also the same distance as AB. So what I've done is I've for sure created a congruent line segment CD to the original line AB. Again, basically, in terms of circles, that they're both the radius of the same circle. Okay, so if A is the center of the circle and B is on the circle, and then C is the center of the circle, and then D is on the same circle. I know you can't really see that line there, but you can see I made it. Okay, now let's create a perpendicular bisector. And again, it's really important that we understand that we want to create a perpendicular, meaning 90 degrees, and bisector, we want to go through the midpoint. We can't just measure it because it's really difficult to measure things exactly, but we can create it. So take the pointy end and put it on endpoint. Make sure that this is just more than halfway. And so what we're going to do is we're pretty much just going to make a full circle, but I'm not going to draw, well, you know what, I can draw the whole circle. It's okay. So we're going to make a circle there, and then we're not going to change it. We're going to draw then the same size circle on the other side. And what we can show is that, and again, lots of times you just make the tick mark up here. So sometimes they're just going to show that kind of tick mark and that kind of tick mark, and then that portion and that portion. And again, we know then that we're going to connect this point and this point with a straight edge, and that will be the perpendicular bisector, which means it's going to be perpendicular, and this point is the midpoint, which means that this line and this line are actually the same length. Okay, so we created the perpendicular bisector, and again, almost all of these are using circles. Number 2 is really important because we're going to use number 2 to then do number 3. Okay, number 3 says, construct a perpendicular through a point on the line. So again, I want the perpendicular through this particular point. Well, what we do is we set it, and we make that point the center of a circle. Okay? So that distance is the same as that distance. Okay, so now I have 2 points here, and I know that this line and this line are the same. They're both the radius of that circle. And now we do the same thing I did up here. If I have 2 points and I want to find the perpendicular bisector, in this case I just need to find a point above this thing. So take something a little bit more than half and draw the line up here. Oh, maybe a little hard to keep track. That was this intersection right here. And then that, I don't even need the bottom one because I already have the middle. This and the midpoint will then form a perpendicular through that point. Okay? Now number 4, again, it's similar. Draw a perpendicular through a point off of the line. Well, all you need to do here is put your compass here, and let's draw, so it'll go through there and there. You can see that point, and you can see that point. And what I've done, I've used a circle, and I know that these 2 points are also evenly spaced. And so then all I have to do is go above or below, let's go below in this case, with the same length on both sides, and then that point and this point are also then perpendicular to each other. So realistically, once you can do number 2, you can do 3 and 4. Number 2, we created a perpendicular bisector, a perpendicular through the middle. Number 3, we started with a point on the line, but I can easily form 2 other points on the line by making a circle. And then from those 2 points, I can find this point and I connect. On this one, I found a perpendicular off the line by finding these 2 points first, using a circle, and then using those 2 points, I can find a midpoint, and then I can connect. So I can construct a perpendicular off the line, on the line, and the perpendicular bisector. And of course, this one is pretty easy, just creating a line segment. Okay, let's flip. Now let's do some angle stuff. And they're similar in how some of these are done, okay? So let's copy an angle. So I have this angle. Let's randomly just draw a point here. And okay, so now I want to figure out where do I draw this other line so I have this exact same angle, okay? So take your compass, follow with me. I'm a right-hander, so I'm going to move this around. And what you're going to do is you're going to draw a circle that intersects both sides, and you're going to get these 2 points. We'll call those 2 points A and B. And then take your compass and then measure the distance AB. Sorry. That same thing, and come down here and draw that same circle. Almost skipped that step. That was important. Okay, and I know that my ray has to go like this, but I don't know where. But now I can come over here and I can actually find the distance between A and B. Okay, there's the distance between A and B, and I come over here to the new B, and I make the intersection. And so that point that I want must actually be right there. Again, make a circle, and then measure AB. Actually, make a circle, measure AB, and then create the new AB, and then connect these points. And now this angle and this angle are for sure the same. All right, let's create an angle bisector. So that is the ray that splits that angle in exactly half. Okay, so I'm going to make a circle. And then, I don't even have to change it. Then from that point here, I'm going to make an arc. I'm going to make an arc. This point has to be exactly in the middle of that angle. And so then if I connect the vertex to that middle, I get the angle bisector, meaning that this angle and this angle are in fact the same. Okay, you kind of see that? I made a circle, and then from here and here, I found these 2. Found that point is in the middle, and then connect. Okay, so I copied an angle, I created a bisector. All right, let's create a parallel line through this given point. And really, all you're doing is this, you're copying an angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a random transversal. Okay, and then we know that the converse of corresponding angles tells me that if I can create an angle here congruent to this angle, then the 2 lines must be parallel. Okay, so I'm going to, this method is me using congruent corresponding angles to figure this out. Okay, so I'm going to do what I did up here. I'm going to draw the circle, and I'm going to draw the circle. Okay. And then I'm going to come down here and find this length. And then it's the same thing up here, and I really should have had that line further. And then all I got to do is connect those. I've created this angle to be congruent to that angle and the two lines that are parallel, right? This line is parallel to this line. That's me creating congruent corresponding angles, thus lines are parallel. And again, all I did was create that angle, right? So I took and I drew the circle right there, and I came up here and I drew another circle. And all I got to do is to know where that point is. But that point from here to here has to be the same as this distance from here to here. So I made that intersection, and that intersection of those two things has to be that point. And I know the paper's kind of going flipping around. Another way to create, and I won't go through this whole process, but I just want to talk you through it. So let's say you had a line and you had a point. Another way to create a parallel line through that point is to do what we did on the front, and that is to create a perpendicular line through that, but then flip it around and create a perpendicular line to this guy. But if they're both perpendicular to this line, then line A and line B, of course, have to be parallel, right? It's like the perpendicular transversal theorem. It's kind of a silly theorem because hopefully it's pretty obvious that if A is perpendicular to this and M is perpendicular to this, then of course they're parallel. But also, it's really just the same thing as saying that if those two are 90 degrees, it's just congruent corresponding angles again. Okay, the last one, there's a whole bunch of different ways to form a 45-degree angle, but I think the easiest way is to make a perpendicular. So I'm going to extend this first. Let's take this line and extend it, which we can do. Okay, let's find the perpendicular to this guy, which we can do. So let's pretend we want to do this and this, and then we want to go above and below. So this is me just repeating what was on. That's gonna run out of room just a little bit. All right, we're gonna have to eyeball that one. Sorry, I ran out of room there. Actually, you know what? I didn't need that bottom one. I already have the top one. That's all I needed, because I already had the point on the line. So what I did here is I created a perpendicular. Again, all I'm doing is the first one. So I know that's 90 degrees, but now I'm gonna do that guy, because if I bisect 90 degrees, I'll create 45. So let's do, right, that point and that point, and then from there, come out here, and there, and then the intersection there also must be in the middle, which means if I bisect 90, I in fact get two 45-degree angles. And there's more than one way to do that, but these are certainly some of the more popular constructions. You can take a look. I know I went fast. You can rewind it and watch it again. You can also go to the link on the Canvas page to open math reference and look at any of the constructions you want, and you can go step by step through them. But I just thought it'd be helpful to physically see me, operating the compass, and then of course using a protractor just kind of as my straight edge. Okay, hopefully this video helps you with constructions.